This is Seth Schaefer with the bwin Poker Blog, and today we're going to be bringing you a quick little 10-minute video recap of the final table of the first Aussie Millions online finals that was held at bwin Poker on October 25th. And as far as the basic scenario that we're looking at here, the online finals are a $300 plus 20 buy-in. For this particular one, they got 198 entries, so that meant that the top three would win, each of the top three would win a $13,500 Aussie Millions trip package, which is a pretty cool deal for the players. They get to travel with the bwin team to Australia for the Aussie Millions, and hotels taken care of, airfares taken care of, entry fees taken care of, sightseeing, trips, restaurants, nightclubs, pretty much the whole 9 yards. With our actual final table that we're looking at here, we're picking up the action with 9 players left. As far as familiar faces that you've probably seen and read about before, we've got Puggy82 and Hades and Corpse GR. Are 3 guys who've been on more than a few trips with the team. All of them are here in the running. Again, this is edited down a little bit, so we're only going to see sort of the big hands. Right now we have Corpse GR, who's all in under the gun. He's pretty short stacked. Puggy's actually short stacked. Hades is short stacked. So all of our veterans got there. They're short stacked. Chip leader is Vidin Ha 1, who I'm just going to call Vidin Ha. He's been the chip leader for a long time, just sort of big dominant stack. After him, Golfo Y and Snake 91 are the top three right now. And again, the top 3 all win trip packages. Fourth, not much. And here we have an all in with Corpse GR, who is really short stack, and he called from the big blind. He's got to think that the small blind's shoving pretty wide there on him. And unfortunately, he was in really bad shape with ace 3 against ace 10. No love for Corpse GR, but he's been with the bwin team on events for what seems like a million trips, so he'll probably be back in the running again at some point to win his way to the Aussie Millions. And again, here we're fast forwarding at various points in the action to sort of get to big hands. So all of these hands are not happening one after another. So as far as other qualifiers, what we're watching now is the Aussie Millions online finals, which are running every week on bwin. Other ways to sort of win your way to the Aussie Millions, there's a Headhunter tournament that gets you there. There's these online finals. The Big Bounty runs every 2 weeks and gives out prize packages. And then there's also a 100K free roll that's handing out packages. And at the moment, there's a sit-and-go decathlon promo going on at bwin that top prize is a $10,000 entry into one of these tournaments, which you could use for the Aussie Millions. Back to our action here. Army Bus is a little bit short-stacked, one of the shorter stacks. He opened for 8,000. Vidin Ha on his big blind, the big stack called him. King 10-10 flop. Vidin Ha is sort of thinking a little bit. And my psychic powers tell me he's going to call, and he does call. And he's got King 6 suited there, which for Army Bus is pretty frustrating with his queens. Like he raises pre-flop. Unfortunately, that's kind of the breaks when you're short stacked, where the big blind's going to call pretty wide there, and the big blind, especially when the big blind's a chip leader, he's going to call pretty wide there. And the big blind did call and flopped a king, so he knocked out Army Bus there, which, like I said, is pretty frustrating. But sometimes those are the breaks when you get short stacked and you're opening for a decent raise, but the chip leaders in the big blind has a ton of chips and makes a call and knocks you out. Back to our action here. Hades is getting really short. He was down to about 10 big blinds there. Opened to 6,000, which is a little bit interesting. A lot of people would just shove there to pick up the blind and annies. Gets a call from the other short stack, our father, XXX. And then our father leads into him here on a queen 4-6 flop. Kind of hard to necessarily put him on anything there. You think he might be on a flush draw. 80 shoves. Our father calls, and he had king queen there and flop top pair. Hades was in pretty bad shape, needing an ace there, and didn't get it. As far as consolation prizes for Hades, he's been on a big tear lately in the GSOP with a couple of really big cashes. So he's probably bummed he didn't win his way back onto the team there, but he's got some nice consolation prizes of late to keep him happy. Back to the action here. We're down to 6, and again we're playing down to the top 3. So Vinha again, big chip lead. Snake 91 was in second starting this hand, and then Golfo and FG Hacko were both about the same for third. Actually a pretty big hand here that develops between Golfo and Snake with a raise and a call, and then Golfo leads out on the flop. Snake 91 raises him, Golfo calls. Ace high flop, potential flush draw there, and they get it all in, and each had top pair, but Golfo was in bad shape there with just ace 6. Snake didn't even need that jack on the river there to bounce him out. Which brings us down to 5 players. Now it gets, Vidinha and Snake both are pretty far out there, with the last 3 guys bunched pretty tightly. Vidinha is probably going to play a lot of hands because he has such a big stack, just looking to knock out people. But Snake 91's, these tournaments are tricky when you're just playing for trip packages, and no one wins any more for winning it than the third place person gets for coming third. So Snake 91 doesn't have a lot of incentive to get too crazy here. Vidinha has such a big stack, he can take some shots and try to knock out some of the smaller stacks. For the smaller stacks, Puggy 82 is actually in decent shape here with about 60k. He's got about twice what the 2 smaller stacks does, so even he's a little bit handcuffed. If Snake's handcuffed at 110, not handcuffed, but it's a difficult size stack to play, because if you're shorter, then it gets easy and you just shove. But when you're kind of in the middle there and in third, and you only need to finish third, sometimes the sort of safer play is to see what develops with the short stacks. Here, we have 2 of the short stacks getting it all in with King 9 and Queen 10. Our father did pick up flush draw there, and then he spikes his 10 to knock out FG Hacko. It's frustrating, but FG Hacko was sort of barely ahead there when he shoved and got called, even when he got called with Queen 10. So not the worst beat in the world, but in that spot, pretty frustrating to get knocked out on the river as a 60% favorite when the guy spikes his 10. Back to our action. Folded around to Puggy. Puggy and our father were about similar stacked in 4th and 3rd. Puggy shoves from the small blind, folds to him. He shoves with ace 10. Chip leader calls him with 7s. Not really anything you can do in that spot. Puggy would do that 100 times out of 100 times, and even if the chip leader sort of turns his hand face up there, I'm not sure Puggy still might shove there, because he needs to double at some point, or else sort of sit and wait for our father to possibly bust there. So kind of a stroke of bad luck for Puggy to bubble there with ace 10, as far as especially folding around to him in the small blind, shoving, running into the big blind, and overall chip leader with 7s, who's going to call him with a lot of hands there, and actually had a pocket pair and knocked him out. So you see here, top 3 finishers, all who won $13,500 trip packages, were Vidinha, Snake 91, and our father. So congrats to those guys. I'd encourage everybody watching this and playing on bwin to give it a shot, whatever route, to sort of win one of the trip packages, the Aussie Millions, because it really is shaping up to be a pretty awesome trip with bwin pulling out the stops. So thanks for listening. Again, this is Seth Schaefer with the bwin Poker Blog, and we'll be back with you in the future with another video. Thanks.